Williford. Any comments from the public? All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
It's unanimous.
No, it's not unanimous. I abstain.
He abstained.
Oh, he
This one
abstained.
here.
Mr. Landsgaard is abstained. All right, consent calendar, CC1. Approved check voucher, registered date 7/31/18 to 8/13/18. Second. Moved by Mr. Glennan, seconded by Mr. Mackay. Any comments? No comments, call for the vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
That is unanimous. All right, we're going to move on to new business. NB1, nominate a candidate for the public water suppliers, alternate board member for the water master. Mr. Smith.
Yes, as you know, when we started this, putting the groups together, the public water suppliers that are listed in the judgment get to vote for who they want on the board. And so we had put together, I had pushed that we really had a committee, a cohesive, and so we came up with rules and how we all voted and everything. So it's a private committee all the time. And so right now, Leo Tebow, who is with Little Rock Irrigation District, we've always decided that the person who sits on the Water Master Board from all our agencies should be an elected official. And so instead of one of the general managers or assistants, and we thought that is the best. And then the general managers and the attorneys are the ones that actually sit on the committee itself. So right now, Leo Tebow has been on there for a little over 2 years. He wants to step down. Karen, who is the assistant, wants to step up, and so we're looking to nominate an assistant or an alternate to the water master. And so anytime that Karen's not there, that person would sit and be one of the voting members on the water master board. And then so we'll take our nomination tonight, and I'll take it back to the public water suppliers. Every other board will have their nomination thrown in, and then the public water suppliers will vote and decide who's going to be the alternate.
Who's Karen?
Karen, what's Karen's last name again?
Kathy McLaren?
Kathy, no. Is it Kathy McLaren?
Kathy McLaren from the Water District.
Well, Kathy, right. I got a Karen in there, McLaren, okay, Kathy McLaren. Yeah, she's on the Palmdale Water District. She's an alternate right now, and she's going to step into being, she's been a voting member when Leo's been gone, so she sits on the board. So now she's going to take his spot, and she's been at all the...
She's on the Palmdale.
She's on the Palmdale Water District Board.
Okay.
All right. At this time, we'll take in anybody with nominees.
I move that we indicate the alternate board member.
Are you acceptable to that, yes? Anyone else?
I don't want it.
Right.
I'll second it.
All right, moved by Mr. Landsgaard for Mr. Mackay, seconded by Mr. Williford. Any comments? All those in favor?
Aye.
Mr. Mackay, you will be our representative.
There you go, so I'll put that name in the hopper at our next meeting.
9 districts.
It's interesting because the public water suppliers, it includes the city of Lancaster, but it's also in our committee is LA County Water District 4. Even though they get a seat automatically, Adam Mariki sits in our meetings, and it's been good because public water suppliers virtually have, if we all agree together, we have 2 votes. I mean, it's not too often that Adam thinks differently than we do, but he's been around since before the adjudication, and Adam's great input. So we always have, and we have usually all the attorneys there. I've had our attorney not go anymore, on the phone conferences, only because we're at the point now, you can see in the water master, there's really nothing up that we're fighting for. It's like right now it's about, what wells, people are getting approved, what transfers are being approved. Most of the stuff we had to fight for is over, so a lot of us are gearing back our attorneys from spending too much time. If something comes up, we'll bring the attorneys back in, but I don't think we need to pay our attorney to go to a water master meeting to listen that there's 2 new wells that are going in and 2 new transfers. It's so, and that's what our meetings basically entail that.
All right. We'll move on to MB2. Adopt resolution number 2018-60, approving the amended of the 2006 ERI on the Antelope Valley Bank project, renamed to the Willow Springs Water Bank project, and the modified facilities plans for the Willow Springs Water Project. Presenter is Mr. Smith.
Yes, I'll just say a few things and then I'll hand it off to the consultant. This is, as you know, CIM and our water bank and everything got $95 million was the final number, $95 million grant from the state to finally build out our water bank completely, and then also build the pipeline all the way down to the aqueduct and get a turnout so we can actually deliver our own water and not have to wait for the west feeder from AVAC, which is full all the time, to get water there. So now it can make it profitable. So this is a slight amendment to the EIR that was already done, basically expanding. He can explain more, but and Mr. Glennan says it so well too. We're only looking at three things. We're expanding it out to the full, but not completely to the full that the last plan was. It's going to be a little bit smaller, and we're also sending the pipeline down finally, but we're zigzagging the pipeline to try to protect, to keep it off as much private property as we can and keep it on the easements, and also not have to take out as many Joshua trees. So with that, I'd like to turn it over to Bert, who is the consultant that CIM hired, and he's the expert for the, or Mark's gonna go up there. Okay.
I'll introduce Bert.
Oh, I'm sorry. Mark Buehler.
Yeah, I'm the general manager of Willow Springs Water Bank, and I thought I'd say a couple words about why this is in front of you tonight. First of all, the original EIR was done by the county, Kern County, and it was always envisioned that Kern County would drop out of the process later once the bank got started, and the Joint Powers Authority would handle any future sequel or environmental documentation. Now, the Joint Powers Authority currently is made up of Semi-Tropic Water Storage District, RCSD, and us. We use an entity called Valley Mutual Water Company. So three water agencies that together make up the Joint Powers Authority. And the JPA could have done the addendum itself. We didn't do that though for two reasons. The first is Semi-Tropic wants out the Joint Powers Authority. They sat down with Ron and myself actually about a year and a half ago and said, we don't see much value in this anymore. We'd like to drop out, but they're waiting for us to find a replacement. We're actively looking for a replacement right now. But given that they're now not an enthusiastic member of the Joint Powers Authority, we looked for another public agency, and Rosamond fits the bill really nicely. And you do have a vested interest in the outcome of this thing. Your vested interest is you've signed a revenue sharing agreement already with us. As soon as the bank makes back its returns for its investor, which is CalPERS, then you get 6% of the revenue on top of that. So as soon as we start making money, you start making money. And that's what's in it for RCSD. This is very definitely something that as soon as the bank gets up and running, you'll realize some benefits from it too. So we hired a consultant to do this addendum. Now, an addendum is ministerial, which means that it doesn't have a major impact on the environment, and it can be done really without a great deal of complicated environmental process. But as Ron said, we're really looking to do three things, which all in general reduce the impact on the environment. The project's gotten real. In other words, we got the $95 million Proposition 1 grant. We're also in the process right now of getting another $15 million from FEMA, Federal Emergency Management Agency. So we've got $110 million to build this thing. Won't quite build the whole bank, but it'll get a good portion of it done. We're ready to start building the pipes. One of the very first questions we had to answer though was the original route we picked for the pipeline a good one? It turns out it could have been better. It is routed right now through some Joshua trees, which we weren't aware of. It's in LA County. and it's part of what's called a sensitive ecological area. Bert will handle that in just a second. So we routed it away from the Joshua trees to minimize the environmental impact. We also shrunk the area of the bank a little bit, and we've moved some of our wells from the eastern side of the bank to the western. And the reason for that is primarily to avoid poor water quality and to increase the production per well, so that we'll have to build fewer wells as a result. Now, we're basically a lot smarter than we were 10 years ago in terms of laying out where the wells would go. That's mostly because we collected a lot of data. And then the last thing is a benefit from the whole Antelope Valley. The nameplate capacity of the bank was originally 500,000 acre feet. We think now, based on the modeling that we've done, it could be increased to 1 million acre feet. And what that does is it raises the overall water table in the Antelope Valley, which has benefits for anybody who pumps out of the Antelope Valley. So that's the overall background. We hired Bert to prepare the actual document. Bert's done a lot of work, and with that, he'll give you a summary.
Thank you, Mark. You may be wondering why an addendum is over 100 pages long. Well, as it turns out, in order to qualify for an addendum under CEQA, you have to demonstrate that your modifications of your project are not going to result in new significant impacts or more severe impacts that were identified in the original EIR. So that's why we went through. That's why we went through all of the, the steps to discuss that and analyze that. And now the project is subject to the memorandum of understanding that was executed after the original EIR was certified. Now 12 years have gone by, so those mitigation measures that were in that MOU are still basically good, but a lot of improvements and to the standard practices have occurred since 2006. So we felt it would be important to modify the mitigation measures so that they reflected current practices and standards. It doesn't mean that they're mitigating a new impact. It's just they're up to current practices. So we concluded without a doubt that there are no new significant impacts or more substantial impacts than were originally identified. So we're good to go with the addendum. The addendum is a kind of a strange creature under CEQA in that it doesn't require any form of public review whatsoever. No public notice, no public involvement, no written, no 45 or 30-day review period. It's basically a minor. Well, it takes a lot of work to demonstrate that something's minor, but that's what we did, and we hope that you agree. If you have any questions on it at all, I'll be happy to answer.
I read through it. The biggest thing that I thought was changes in the law, like from Tier 2 to Tier 4 on the diesel engines,
Yep.
Any construction out there. Other than that, we were still taking care of the swints
Yes, sir.
and the burrowing owls and the replanting Joshua trees when they got in the way.
Yeah, let me talk about that a little bit. Yeah, the Joshua trees. So since 2006, Los Angeles County has gotten a lot more strict about, as you all know, about protecting Joshua trees and avoiding them if you can, and replacing them or transplanting them if you can't avoid them. So we're going to, the water bank is going to embark on the LA permit process for going through this significant ecological area between here and 138. So we're confident. We know the guidelines and we know the ordinance, and we're confident that it can be done with the realigned or the modified pipeline alignment.
If I could also, and what I told Bert and Mark Buehler is that when I was the chairman of the Planning Commission for Lancaster, we had this idea about how are you going to protect the Joshua trees to a certain extent, and just moving one Joshua tree doesn't really do any good because you need contiguous forests. So Lancaster, we started a mitigation fee that every developer has to pay when they get property. Well, that's turned out to now, I've talked to the city, And other cities and other areas that have to develop put money and they put it in that pot that Lancaster has, and then Lancaster goes and buys like at the Ripley Preserve, where you have contiguous forest and everything. So Bert wasn't aware of that, so I put him in touch with the person in charge, and that might actually take care of the mitigation of any Joshua trees that go down. They just put some money in the pot, and then Lancaster later on buys, large swaths of property that has Joshua, because you need about 110 acres of contiguous forest to make a suitable habitat for Joshua, because it comes with all the animals and the junipers and everything else that comes into it.
Any other questions?
Yeah, the pipeline, that's new, is that right?
It's not new. It was in the original EI. Comes straight up 170th. And we noticed, as Mark mentioned, that there is quite a substantial stand of Joshua trees between D and C, I guess it is, along 170th. And so we had to avoid those. We had a biologist go out there and do surveys of all the possible routes, 165th, 155th. We found 155th through the SCA was the least damaging to Joshua trees. We can get by with it. Avoiding most of them and taking out the fewest. So I think that'll satisfy LA County, certainly.
Are we also running a pipeline to the LA Aqueduct?
Sure.
Yeah, it's a really interesting change. What happened is the state approached us when they had some extra FEMA money, and we approached LA and also Kern County. Kern County is the sponsor for us, but the plan is to hook up to the LA Aqueduct and bring a second, smaller pipeline from the LA Aqueduct into our bank. And it's something we've been trying to do for 10 to 15 years.
Well, last year when they got all that extra runoff, I think they were just losing water into the canyon as it went past about 175th Street West out there. Now they'll actually get the LA Department of Water Power can get credit for the water if they put in the water bank if they buy in. Is that right?
That's exactly what we're doing. LA DWP approached us a year ago and said, can we put some water in your bank? We're spilling it. And the problem that Ron mentioned prevented us from helping them right away. AVEC was already using its pipeline completely full. And so we said, we really hate to do this, but we got to tell you no. And we thought about it for a while and came up with a plan and found some money to build a 4-foot diameter pipe from the LA Aqueduct to the northern part of our bank. And it actually follows along the northern edge of our bank, so it'll be almost entirely on our property. It's something that we've been trying to do for a long time because it just makes perfect sense. Why would you spill the water? And they lost over 200,000 acre feet of water in 2017. Incredible amount of water, really valuable stuff, and they lost it all.
Now they can store it.
Yeah, it's exactly what you said. They'll get credit for it if they put it in our bank. If they blow it off on the open ground, they get no credit whatsoever.
That's new.
Any other questions? Mr. Glennan?
I was kind of wishing that Gary would be here. Reading through the original documents, we surely should thank Delmar and Gertrude, Craig and Marta, Dean and Sherry, Nick and Janet, and Gary and his wife Debbie for selling that property to us. The Van Dams are the ones that sold that property to us, not to us, but to Western Development. And I was going to thank Gary if he was here sometime. But I wonder how they all got together and agreed on it. But it's the Van Dams Ranch water bank. Is what it is to some degree.
If they give us some money, we'll name it that.
Mr.
Or
McKay?
water rights.
The only comment I have, I was at the AVAC budget meeting last night, and Frank Donato, one of the directors there, asked the accountant what the value of the water in their water bank was, and he was told it was $17 million. And he said, and I forget the exact word that he used, but he said that it's unlimited in a drought, the amount of money that they're going to be able to pull in. So this is good news here.
All right, any other questions, comments? Thank you. All right, with that, we'll entertain a motion.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, moved by Mr. Williford, by Mr. Glennan. Any public comments? Can we have a roll call vote, please?
Vice President Williford,
Aye.
Director Landsgaard,
Aye.
Director Glennan,
Yes.
Director Mackay,
Yes.
President Shingledecker.
Aye. It's unanimous.
The ayes and the yes have it.
All right, with that, we'll move on to director reports, comments, and future agenda items. Mr. Glennan.
I have about 3 things I'd like to bring up tonight. In the Sunday paper where Bill Deaver has his article, I just want to read one paragraph. Voters in Tehachapi Valley Park and Recreation District will be asked to approve $43 million in general obligation funds in November, the general election, to refurbish their parks and build a new one. Now, if Tehachapi approves that, that means the citizens of Tehachapi were willing to spend $43 million on their park. Think about what we were asking to do for our park. You know, it just really...
They have their own parks district though.
Yeah.
That's all they do is parks.
That's all they do is parks, and they're going to get $43 million. That's what they're asking for. That's significant. And there's 3 parks, and they're planning to maybe build one. Second thing, I attended the high-speed rail meeting that was just before this meeting. It was like a stakeholders meeting, but there will be an open house public meeting in Lancaster on September the 12th. September the 12th at Stanley Kramer Activity Building. They're moving forward with it between Bakersfield and Palmdale. The preferred route is alternate 2. That's just preferred. It won't be until about 2020 that will become the fixed route, and then they'll start on it. But it is moving forward. And then this is from Evolves Water, but it's from a website that I have lots of confidence in. The Trump administration decision to return water permitting authority to more states means faster, better, and more affordable decisions made for Americans. Under terms of an agreement signed by the U.S. Army, the Environmental Protection Agency, the Justice Department, the White House, states can assume authority to issue permits on earth moving around regulated waterways, wetlands, and the land that sometimes is around canals. This is a major moment because permitting has been so complicated and expensive, most farmers and ranchers give up in exercising their rights under the law and attempt to step forward fully and restore the rule of law and environmental regulations. It would really be nice to simplify how people can use their own property and how the water on their own property could be used. And Trump is moving us in that direction. I don't know how California will respond to that, but I thought that was really good that they're trying to eliminate some of the regulations that you see on how you can use your own property and your own water.
Thank you, Mr. Glennan. Mr. Mackay.
I attended the AVAC meeting on the 14th of the month, and they're still at 35% of their allotment, and they figure that in October they would get a new allotment at that time. Also attended the special meeting last night for AVAC it was a budget meeting, and they passed their budget last night. And then tomorrow, the water master has a meeting at 10 a.m. at ABAC. And also, I would like to have a discussion tonight, maybe to give some direction to the general manager. United Street Park, the school district was putting the water on there so the kids would have a place to play. And it was costing them $5,000 a month to water it. And right now,
Mr. Manager,
it's
did you 5,000 a month water the park?
All right.
this is what the district said they were paying for United Street Park. Up there was $5,000 a month for water. And right now,
That's about right.
There was actually summer months were higher than that. Some summer months were over $10,000 a month.
Yeah. And
So
they were about
anyway-
a total of over 70,000 or something like
yeah. So anyway, right now it's not water and it's dirt and it's hard and there's no grass for the kids to play soccer on or any of the other sports. And I'd like to see if we could get the general manager to talk to the school district and see if there was any way that we could get that water so that the kids will have a safe place to play. And that concludes my report.
Before we move on, do we have consensus with the board to give the general manager direction to move forward?
Water for United
Well,
Street Park? Yes.
I could give you my assessment of that, and like Brock and I talked about it. All you have to do is turn it on, but then somebody has to pay for it.
Right.
So if they don't pay for it, that means your ratepayers are going to have to pay for it, or we have to pay for it out of your general fund.
Have a discussion with the school, see if we can convince them.
Because you would say that we would have to pay about $5,000 to $10,000 a month of our general fund money and appropriate it into paying their water.
Well, yeah, we do have some general fund money we could do that with, and that does sound too expensive in the long run. And with the idea that they get back on their feet within 6 months, I think they have the ability to do that.
That's
Have a discussion with
I'll have a
them,
discussion
see
with
if
them,
there's
and I'll come back and talk to each of you also,
feasible
and
plan
we'll-
you can bring back to us.
We'll bring it back to the board.
Thank you.
Would the board be feasible to at least water it for a month while we talk about it?
That's.
That would be,
That's what I'm worried about.
If you do it with your ad valorem money, I'll have to check with legal whether you can or not, but I can't take direction to do that now. That's an appropriation of money.
And the other thing
And
with
that
you-
has to be done, and it's not.
Well, look at all avenues. If that's an issue, then does AYSL qualify as a nonprofit that we could do that?
Yeah,
all right.
I'll talk with council.
move forward and bring it back to it.
And I'll bring it back at the next meeting.
Thank you. Mr. Landsgaard.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. McKay brought up a good point here. ABAC had a special budget meeting. Budgets are due in August. Final budgets.
Our final budget is finished.
Our final budget's not been approved.
Yes, it has. It was adopted on June 19th.
That's the final budget.
That's the final budget. Yes.
I thought we do it
You're
earlier.
supposed to pass an emergency budget, a temporary budget, or something. And this time staff had asked you that instead of bringing it back, there were no changes. We're going to bring it back to you. It's the same, exactly the same thing. So we'd like to get it finished. Then, if there wasn't any changes, there was no changes. So we had adopted the final budget at that meeting at the end of June. So July 1st, we started the fiscal year with a budget.
Okay, so
Now, you can push it till September 1st, but you have to have some kind of temporary emergency budget, until that time. And so we're good.
We're set, okay.
We're set.
Then the other thing is, for September 22nd is the Rosamond Chamber of Commerce having their September Fest and Parade. In years past, we've sponsored that. Hopefully we can have the agenda next time for the September 4th.
Sure. I'll put it on if you want to pay for the September Fest. I'll need from them again a list of the prices and what they want to do, so we can give that to you guys.
You don't have to pass by.
What's that?
The new board president is not going to pass by yet.
Nope. So I just need that so we can put it on the agenda for you. You pick which level you want to pay.
Are we gonna do a booth like we have in the past?
Depends on what the board decides to do.
We'll discuss it when it's brought before the
That's
board.
right.
Are we gonna have time to? This is August right now.
Next
We
week.
have stuff we can hand out.
That would be, we'd have to buy goodies, but we'll have that discussion, we shouldn't discuss it now, it's not agenda, it's an action you're going to take. You give me direction, I'll get this stuff, I'll bring it back and put it on the agenda.
Okay.
I will bring it back at the first meeting in September.
Which is
September 4th.
okay.
Day after Labor Day.
And
The 22nd, I believe, September 22nd.
all right. All right.
That's all I have.
That's good.
Mr. Williford.
I want to congratulate the general manager on our new branding. I see we've got the sign out in front. I like it. I like the new design. I see it on all the pickups now. It looks like it's on there.
You can see it from a mile away.
Yeah.
And see
The
who we are.
only one that I didn't see it on was the big tank truck, vacuum truck. But I kind of like that American flag too, so we can live with that. Except for one other vehicle. Are we going to get that one branded?
No, because that's also in the contract, a personal vehicle at the same time, because that's in the contract.
Ratepayers of Rosamond paid for it. I think that any time all the other employees of the district are
And we get some,
driving.
we can get some magnetic signs to put up there when our district business and then when not our district business, they can take it off.
I'm okay with that, but I think it needs to be branded.
Never has in the past with your other general managers.
There's general managers in the valley that are provided a vehicle that their vehicle is
This
branded.
district is never branded the district manager.
Well, maybe we need to change.
If you'd like to renegotiate the contract, that's something that we can talk about.
And I don't see it in the contract where we could. Anyway, that's all I had.
Okay.
All right, with that, we're gonna move on. General counsel's not here tonight, so we'll move on to general manager update.
Yes, this is, I waited until this meeting, the last meeting, to give you a complete update on the park. Because as you know, the district divested itself of parks. We had told the county that they had July 1st was the cutoff, and they took over all the bills and the maintenance of the park as of July 1st. The last thing that basically was hanging was the quick claim that we sent them, and that went in front of the Board of Supervisors in the afternoon meeting on August 14th. I think it was was that a Tuesday? It's August 14th.
Instead of on the raid, it's on the YouTube video that John Joyce recorded.
Well,
Zach Strickers.
August 14th, I believe the meeting, I believe that was Tuesday. I can look at the calendar again. And it passed, and so they sent us the recorded quick claim that is completely in their name now also. Besides, but they took over all the bills. You know, they came in, filled out the applications. They're paying the water bills, the electrical bills, and doing the gardening. And they also, if you notice that the old Rosamond sign, we kept the Williford Park up there. I had staff just overdo the old logo, you know, with stucco, so it looked, you know, and then the county put their phone number on the bottom, so anybody that has to call, they can call the county. So it's all taken care of.
Thank you. Anything else?
That's it.
All right. The Assistant General Manager and the Director of Public Works will roll them into one. Mr. Brach.
Perfect. Business as usual in Public Works. As Mr. Williford noticed, the logo still hasn't been changed on the vacuum truck. That's because it hasn't sat still long enough this summer to get new logos put on it. In the last 8 working days, we've done 12 service line leaks, 3 angle stops, 32 lock-offs, and completed our monthly meter reading. In addition to that, we've continued our work out at the wastewater treatment plant, getting ready for a startup for the pilot test at the percolation pond. And to go along with what Ron said, we submitted or turned in all of our keys to Williford Park to the county, so we no longer have keys to access that facility.
I got a question.
Go ahead.
Are you just going to put it on the door?
The logo? Yeah,
Yes.
but we will remove the old logo as well. So
You're going to take the flag off?
yeah, because it's built around that old logo. So we may replace it with something else, but we don't want to have an American flag with a hole in the middle where the old RCSD logo was.
Also, the idea of an American flag on a sewer truck, I don't know, it might break some people along the way.
Yeah, it has in the past.
That's enough like that. When we drive the parade, it's great.
They clean it up.
You can always put some American flags everywhere on the parade.
Yeah, it cleans up nice.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Smith. Director of Administration, Board Secretary, any updates this time?
Nothing to report.
Nothing to report. All right, I'd like to thank everybody for coming this evening. And as of 7:36, we'll be adjourned.